Wow. Gakuna, it's been interesting to talk to you. So tell me, what's your vision for Africa in the next 20, 30 years' time?
Well, let me say I'm one person who is a Pan-African, and I love my continent as much as I love my country, Kenya. Africa is a continent, and I will repeat it again, is a continent of the future. You know, there's nobody who want to ignore Africa. Even the big players, the daddies of the world, they doesn't want to ignore Africa. They are all in Africa. That's true. They are all here competing in Africa. They're trying to actually romance Africa into either of their sides. So Africa is the beautiful lady here, and is the lady, of course, to determine the side and the person to go with. So we have the eastern, the east, and the East Asia, and we have the west. So it's us. And I don't think even when we talk about the global south, so many people think about Africa, because Africa is the continent that it has shown resilience in development, and have impacted growth and in the world, because any state and any developed state want to trade with Africa and want to relate, to have good relationship with Africa. And of course, they are also coming to us so that we can always be supporting them in the United Nations. So we are that powerful. We are that powerful. It's only that Africa has not been able to know its power. And of course, we have different leaders, that's the political leaders, different presidents, of course, who will go outside there. Maybe they have also different interests for their states. So that's why we'll find ourselves, we are divided and scattered, and even when we reach the international table, because of the different interests amongst our leaders and our states. But I see Africa as one of the major player actually in the multipolar world that we are in today, because it is the African states, or the global south itself. It is the continents. We are talking global South Africa and the Latin America, and the continents that we are trying to actually be the adjudicators, and not the adjudicators. Actually, we are trying to determine who carries the day. Is it the also China, or is it the West, the US and the EU together? So that's kind of, I think they are trying to actually trying to woo each and every country into its global world order, because now we have the Russia and China trying to ask African countries to join in the world order and trying to join the BRICS. And then we have the European Union and the United States trying now also to maintain the status quo of advancing the liberal democracy. So it's a thing of how do I see Africa? Where do I see Africa? I see Africa if it can be able to dictate its interests, other than begging, because we are still begging. Even when you hear our president's talk, of course, you hear that sense of begging, because they are asking something that we should be demanding actually. So you're feeling like we still have no sense of international law. What is the law of Africa in the international sphere? Where are we? How do these other players perceive Africa? So we have a problem of perception here, because like the West, they have a misplaced perception. Of course, they have a misplaced priority with Africans, and of course, they only care about Africa when they need us. And we have also the Russo China, they are trying also to influence Africa into their ways, and trying to actually bring an alternative for Africans. And I think it's time for even Africans to try other means and other methods, because we cannot still be living and trying to be solving the same problems with the same solutions. I mean, we have to change, look for alternatives on how to be doing our issues. And I think African states, other than South Africa, which is an initial member of BRICS, and then Egypt has requested, Morocco has shown interest, and I think also Nigeria has shown interest in joining BRICS. I think it's high time for Africans also to try to join this, because I think it's good for Africa if it's genuine and it means good for the whole world. I think because they are also bringing up the, Africans, we're also talking, the President William Ruto of Kenya trying to, is brought about the issue of trying to change the monetary institutions, the world monetary institutions.
Yeah.
And then BRICS has brought an alternative of the new development bank. So how do we get to that? Because can we leave those paternalistic organizations, the international organizations, which are very paternalistic, of course, they are actually asking more than they are giving us. And then we can join maybe the new World Bank, the New Development Bank, and the new other international organization, because I believe these organizations, this balancing of power and the new world order will bring up more and more international organization. And you hear of Russia actually even being banned to international organization like the World Health Organizations, the World Trade Organization, and you think that even BRICS, maybe they come up or they build up such international organizations, and then we shall be having other alternatives. So it's a thing of thinking of African should be actually be able to be independent on its own. It should be able to solve the problems within its own means, and of course trying to live within its own means, so that we can be able actually to drive our economies within what means that we have, because we are being, or we are living in a life that is not African, because so many things are happening through other states, or we have godfathers that are actually trying to navigate within the African regimes, and actually even the policies that African states, independent states, they are passing through, although they pass through their parliament, it's because there are some demands that have been asked by some international communities to be complemented here in Africa, so that they can take advantage of that. So African, we should first of all think of having good governance. I mean, that's one challenge that we are facing, because we have so many poor governance that is actually delaying development and in regional integration within Africa. Issue of corruption is a menace. It is the horse or the elephant in the room, that we have so many corrupt governments in Africa, so corrupt political leaders, that we should actually be thinking of how can we eradicate this menace and this curse, because that is a curse that we are as Africans, we are trying to pass through. And also, how can we build up our military personnel? How can we empower our militaries? What capabilities, and then the modern technologies, and of course, trying to build up military and naval bases, and securing surveillance technologies, and of course, modern technologies. And if then these forces, they are able to be empowered, then we can be able to be fighting our own way, in our own ways, the security issues that is affecting Africa. And as much as we are going on to discuss about opening out boundaries for trade and having a free trade area for Africa, and I think that is a thing that is being achieved by the African Union. The free trade area, the African free trade area, that's a good move. It's a good development for Africa. We need such actions and policies to be passed through and passed to the independent states. And also for opening up the air and water borders and the air spaces for Africans to actually enjoy, do business and then trading. So Africa is I have a big hope for Africa, but if it has the right people and the right people to advise these big offices so that you can take forward.
Yeah. Wow. Gakuna, nice to speak to you today. You have been a great guest of the Think Big for Africa Africa podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ekene, for having me. I'm so grateful. And then let me say that I'm honored to be here with you and, of course, honoring this invite. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And we shall keep talking. And Africa, Africa is our continent. We love Africa, and they should know that we are strategically placed, and we're strategically thinking about how we can build our own Africa, rather than depending on those godfathers.
Yeah. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.